All right, let's talk about it. Wrap up show here on a Tuesday evening. Really convincing win for San Diego State after that big time home win against Utah State. How are the Aztecs going to respond? They did so in a big way with a road win, second Mountain West road win. And all of a sudden, remember going into Saturday, we're like, San Diego State's got to beat Utah State in order to contend for a Mountain West regular season title. Well, they beat Utah State. They moved to within one game of first place. And then today they get the right results around the league. Utah State tripped up by Nevada in Logan. Boise State falling in Fort Collins, Colorado State, and the Aztecs winning at Air Force. And all of a sudden you look up and there is a four-way tie for first place in the Mountain West. Four teams at 7-3. There are three additional teams with four losses in the league. Seven teams separated by one game in the loss column with about 7 or 8 regular season games remaining, or 8 or 9 regular season games remaining for each of these teams. So there's so much still to come, obviously, in the league. And each game, there's all this fluctuation potentially. Of course, you have to find a way to be in the top five. All of these teams are hoping to be in the top five because this league is so good that in the Mountain West tournament, nobody wants to play 4 games in 4 days. I mean, it's going to be hard enough to win 3 games in 3 days in the Mountain West. But the Aztecs, not only do they win it against Air Force, the first half, it would have been hard to play better. And now they have this just showdown with Nevada on Friday in Reno. Nevada getting a big win. Nevada, all of a sudden, I think still on the wrong side probably of the bubble for most bracketologists. But if you could beat Utah State on the road and follow that up by beating San Diego State at home, all of a sudden Nevada has a pretty good resume. And again, I think a lot's going to hinge on Friday night because if you win Friday, you completely control your own destiny and you're coming back home for a 2-game homestand. If you lose Friday, it doesn't mean you're not going to win the Mountain West regular season, but you'll have work to do on the other side of it. And all of a sudden, you can look up if you don't win Friday, and depending on results, you're looking at a potential 3-4 way tie for like third, fourth, or fifth place at the end of the weekend if you don't win on Friday. But a very good win for the Aztecs, and we can get into it. There is a lot to get into, and the Aztecs are 18-5 overall. I mean, in terms of coming out on all cylinders, whatever the cliche is, right? Firing on all cylinders. That's exactly what San Diego State did in this game, which is easier said than done. 7,000 feet elevation, Princeton-style offense. Right? They didn't come out sluggish, though. I mean, maybe for a minute, Air Force, I think, led 3-0, and then 6-3, and then the Aztecs completely turned it on. They shot 70% from the floor in the first half and held Air Force to 32% shooting. It was 45-20 at the intermission. And I think they were, 8 of 11 from three in the first half, something ridiculous. I mean, they dominated the game. They were forcing turnovers, scoring off turnovers. They were out rebounding Air Force at the break, 14-8. And I know someone in the chat is going to say, yeah, but late, Air Force clawed to within 13, hit a 3 at the buzzer. Guys, it's a great win. And the difference between a 13-point win and a 19-point win is not the end-all be-all. What you should be thinking about is winning on the road, staying healthy, and limiting minutes from starters. This isn't about piling on in the final 4 minutes to win by 19 when you've got travel back to San Diego, then to Reno, and you're playing Friday. This is about not playing guys 30-plus minutes on the road. Only one player played 30 minutes. It was Darion Trammell. He played 31. Jaden played 25 minutes. Could you have kept starters in for the final 3 minutes? For what purpose? What if someone gets hurt? To beat Air Force by 19 as opposed to 13? Like, this is a long season. All the possessions are added up. Everything matters, analytically speaking. But what matters most is winning. And what matters most beyond that is staying healthy. You could actually argue the health is more important than the win when you consider what's in store here for San Diego State. So I'm not going to get caught up in Air Force closing the game on an 8-0 run and scoring 14 of the last 16 points. I think it's a waste of breath. What I will get caught up in is the way they played at elevation on the road for 35-plus minutes in this game, and they played really well. Can they do it in Reno against Nevada? We'll find out in a couple of days. And then from there, I mean, this is the 4-game stretch. I mean, we're kind of in a 7-game stretch we've been talking about. They're 3 games into it, and they're 2-1. But these 4 games, right? Reno, home for Colorado State, New Mexico, then in Logan against Utah State. They're just crucial. All of them are crucial. And I said heading into this game, in the final 9 remaining games in the regular season, it's actually more important, arguably, to avoid the landmine, to avoid falling back metrically, suffering a defeat to someone like Air Force here tonight, or Fresno State coming up later this month, or San Jose State at home. All right, those are your three non-quad one or quad two games. The quad one, quad two games, if you don't end up on the right side of them, are not it's something you can overcome. It's kind of weird the way we look at college basketball. The quad one and quad two games are opportunities, but if you don't win them, you don't fall back that much metrically. If you lose a quad three or quad four game, you can really suffer analytically. Not just do you lose, but you lose analytically as well, and it can impact your resume. And Brian Dutcher teams in this era of net rankings has only been about 4 seasons. The Aztecs have been pristine in this era. They avoid bad losses. They avoid losing streaks. They've got a clean resume. We've talked about it. They've got 5 losses this year. They're 18-5. They're 5 losses. I think I have this right still, right? 5 quad one road losses. That's it for San Diego State this season. I thought today, and I'll probably be with you, by the way, for about 30 minutes because it's a late night. And I've already been talking about it for 30 or 40 minutes on the radio. But, I thought Reese Waters was great. He hit 5 threes. He looks fully healthy right now. I thought Jaden was really impactful because he drew 11 fouls in this game. It was interesting the way Air Force defended him. I mean, he wasn't only doubled. He only had 9 field goal attempts. He still scored 14 points. He was a rebound shy of a double-double. Micah had some moments, was 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Lamont was able to get to the rim and score 11 points. Darian Trammell hit 2 threes and had 4 assists and no turnovers. I thought Elijah Saunders in his minutes was good. Who else am I missing? Miles Heide was really valuable in this game. And they made a team that, again, you look at the numbers, you look at their record, and Air Force hasn't had a very good year. It's interesting because they did beat UNLV in Vegas by 32 points, but they got some scores and they could shoot the three ball. I mean, they were 50% from beyond the arc. Air Force, a lot of that came in the second half, but they are second in the conference in three-point shooting, something like 38%, maybe just above 38% right now. So it's a capable team. I mean, you run into Air Force on the wrong night and they hit 14 threes like they did against UNLV in Vegas, and you hit like 4, and you're going to lose. But tonight, San Diego State actually had more made threes than Air Force. Aztecs had 11, Air Force had 10. And the Aztecs in their last 3 games, remember, they were the worst three-point shooting team in the conference 3 games ago. Last 3 games, they're shooting 46% from beyond the arc and 50% here today, getting all kinds of players involved. Trammell, 2 threes. Parrish hit 2 threes. Waters hit 5 threes. Miles Bird was 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. Elijah Saunders was 1 of 2. So you had 3-point baskets from 5 different players in this game. And for whatever reason, maybe because they were due, maybe because they got their legs back after the week-long bye, for whatever reason, the Aztecs look like the shooting team that we thought we'd see throughout the course of the season. And by the way, at times we have. I think the first month of the season we saw it. They dipped a little bit from beyond the arc, but they have shooters. I mean, whether it's Darian, Micah, Jaden has been an excellent three-point shooter this year. Reese has been a really good three-point shooter, obviously. Jay Powell's been a good three-point shooter. Miles Bird has had his moments. Elijah Saunders has had his moments as well. So all told, a really good win in a tough place to get a convincing win. I think the Aztecs have actually now won 5 straight games there by 10 or more points. But, if you followed San Diego State basketball for the last decade or more, you know that the Aztecs have been ranked before Clune Arena and lost. I think back-to-back years they were ranked at Air Force and lost. Was it 12-13 or 11-12? San Diego State's been good at Air Force historically and good recently, but not perfect. I think they're 25-17 all time at the Air Force Academy. So far from perfect, and it can be a recipe for an upset. Short turnaround off a big win, a bit of a trap going to Nevada coming up on Friday with the travel, with the flight delays they had yesterday, and still finding a way to win. And they did it a little uncharacteristically. They had another lineup change. They've had 3 different starting lineups the last 3 games. That's because there was a travel issue, according to Mark Ziegler. We'll see if we get more specifics on it. Jay Powell did not travel with the team yesterday. He, I think, flew out commercially, is what Mark wrote in the UT tonight. Didn't join the team until shoot-around today, was not in the starting lineup. Darian Trammell was in the starting lineup along with Micah Parrish. So Saunders came off the bench, Powell came off the bench, and the combination worked beautifully. And the last 2 games, everything has worked for Brian Dutcher in terms of his starting lineup and his bench. They're getting bench contribution, 17 more bench points here today for SDSU. And you're seeing players continue to develop. We've talked about the bench, right? Beginning of the year, people were concerned, they're lacking depth. Now, as the year continues, it's like, well, now they have these 6, 7 starters because they've become interchangeable the last couple of games. In addition to that, they've got Bird and Heidi, coming off the bench as well. So they are a true 9-player rotation, and occasionally, stretching deeper than that. DeMarshe Johnson, BJ Davis potentially getting some minutes in there as well for SDSU. And again, 77-64, hard to complain about it, and everything in front of SDSU right now with the 8 remaining regular season games, the Mountain West tournament, Friday against Nevada, coming back home, Colorado State and New Mexico, 4-way tie for first place, but again, only 1 game ahead of 5th place in the league, and 7 teams separated by 1 game in the loss column. I mean, I think there's a potential where you have 3, 4, 5-way tie for first place in the league. I don't know how likely it is. I'd have to look at something like Bart Torvik or Ken Pomeroy to find the likelihood of something like that, but it's definitely possible that you could have 3, 4 teams tied atop the Mountain West standings at the end of the year. I think that's a possibility. Again, I don't know if it's likely at this point or not, but it is a possibility. I don't know who has the inside track. I haven't looked at all remaining schedules for those 7 teams that have 4 or fewer losses in the league, but I think it sets up at least, well enough, I would say, for SDSU. And a lot of it, again, I think is contingent on Friday in Reno, which is a bit of a Super Bowl, I would say, for Nevada. They need it from a resume and bubble perspective. They need it to avenge an earlier season loss to San Diego State. And Nevada, with their season kind of on the line and their backs against the wall, they've responded here. They just got a very big win in Logan here tonight. And all of a sudden, it's Utah State that's staring at the 2-game losing streak. But good night, a win at elevation, a road win, all these things that are coveted by the committee. Like road wins are coveted. Winning at elevation is something you have to do in the Mountain West. And I think San Diego State had lost where? BYU, out of conference, but elevation. Albuquerque, right, at elevation. Boise at elevation. Tonight at 7,000 feet, a win, and a convincing win. So you can kind of not put the elevation story to rest. I mean, they play at elevation every single year. It's always a story with SDSU, a sea-level team in the Mountain West with the craziest elevations in college basketball. So it's always going to be a story. But I think by and large, the Aztecs have overcome it to some extent, and people have talked about how, they haven't, won games consistently on the road, or they haven't been as good on the road. But the truth is that they've got a handful of road wins right now, including one against Gonzaga. So, I mean, it's hard to win on the road in college basketball. Brian Dutcher talks about it. It's even harder, I think, to win in the Mountain West on the road. And it's not going to be easy in Reno or in Logan or even in Vegas at the Thomas and Mack at the end of the regular season in early March when the Aztecs travel to take on UNLV. So every single one is coveted. To win a regular season title, they need more road wins. I don't think you get there with 3 road losses still to come. You got to go to Fresno too. You're going to have to go better than 5-3 down the stretch. The Aztecs are 7-3 right now. I don't think 12-6 is good enough to get a share. I think 13-5 may be. So that would be a 6-2 finish for SDSU. So, navigate your way to a 6-2 finish, and you might look up and be in either sole possession or a share of first place in the Mountain West standings. All right, if you are here, please subscribe. We have year-round content for Aztec fans. Smash the like button for me if you wouldn't mind. You can follow me on Twitter at John Schaefer. Appreciate the super chats. You can click the $sign below the chat box. I will get to your super chats here today. I'll try to get to as many chats as I can. You can become a member of the channel as well by clicking the join button down below. You get emojis and badges. Also, if you want to support the Mesa Foundation Collective, you can click the link in the description down below. Pick up a Catapult U t-shirt now available. Our partnership with Sons of Montezuma and myself and my radio show, John and Jim. Again, all proceeds of this brand new t-shirt, Catapult U. The backstory is, I don't even fully remember, but someone poked fun at me for using the verb or the adjective catapulting a couple of years ago when I said San Diego State moved up in the metrics. And from that point on, I've just used it obsessively. So Catapult U, these t-shirts are available. Click the link in the description down below. All proceeds go to the Mesa Foundation benefiting San Diego State men's and women's basketball players. So all proceeds, great way to support San Diego State's basketball programs. Click the link in the description down below. All right, let me get to some of these comments here on this Tuesday night. Aztecs are 18-5, 7-3 in the Mountain West. Ryan, thank you. He says solid W. I agree. Maria, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out in the chat tonight, Maria. loyal, avid fan of John and Jim, wrap-up shows. Thanks, Maria. She says, what a win. Reese Waters has been fun to watch this season so far. He really has. I mean, such a valuable transfer portal pickup. Aztecs knew what they needed. It's what they got. And he fit in seamlessly from day one. He was nicked up a little bit in the middle of the season, and he has rebounded really nicely here over the last week or so. Jeff the Crusher says, great road win. I agree. I think it's almost like an oxymoron because all road wins are great, is what I would say, including here today. And it's really hard to be critical of a double digit road win. I don't care who you're playing. It's hard to be critical of that. Adam says, let's go. Great win. Jeff agrees with Maria. Reese has been awesome. Tom says, great win on the road at altitude. I agree. I agree with you, Tom. I do. And yeah, that's the thing with Reese. I mean, there was a game or two where he just didn't look like himself. I don't think he had, the legs because of the ankle. He's just he's a born shooter. He is such a good shooter. He's so dynamic on offense. And you felt that here tonight. You felt it at Gonzaga. You felt it in the non-conference. You've seen it with routine. I mean, game just comes to him. He doesn't force it. 8 field goal attempts, scoring 15 points is a pretty good night for Reese Waters. Adam says, took the foot off the gas a bit in the second half, but it's okay. Good win. Didn't overlook them. Nevada is our second to last chance to get a good road win. I mean, listen, and I understand completely what the way Adam puts it, I think is a completely fair way to put it. And Adam probably heard what I said earlier. I'd much prefer the 13-point win with starters playing 25 minutes than the 33-point win with starters playing 35 minutes and someone getting nicked up. So you'd rather be cautious there. Would you prefer to win by 20 than 13? Yes. But at the end of the day, because San Diego State's metrics are so solid, I don't think this is any negative impact. I don't think there's anything negative out of a 13-point win. Again, everyone wants to win by more when they win. So, yeah, would you prefer to win by a few more points? Sure. But at the end of the day, they have back-to-back 14-point and 13-point wins over Utah State and Air Force on the road, and it's more than good enough. It's impressive is what it is. John, thank you for hanging out. It says Waters in more ways than one. Thank you, John. Yeah, there's opportunities actually for marquee road wins, Adam. Adam had the initial comment, and Tom follows up. I mean, Utah State is a quad one opportunity. Nevada is a quad one opportunity on the road. And UNLV right now is a quad two road opportunity. So, yeah, there's multiple opportunities there's 3 opportunities for good road wins. There's 2 for high level road wins, I would say, and that would be Nevada and Utah State. Yeah, they barely got any. Jeff says Air Force didn't get many easy back cut buckets. The D worked hard tonight. I kind of recall maybe 1, and that may have not happened. I don't think it was more than 1 back cut basket for Air Force today. I thought the Aztecs really defended hard, especially in that first half. There was just no looks for Air Force. They scored 20 points in the first half. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. Now, they performed better in the second half, to their credit. I mean, and like Brian Dutcher said to Ted postgame on the radio, San Diego Sports 760, Air Force isn't quitting, okay? I mean, these are Academy members. The last thing they're going to do is quit. And to their credit, they certainly didn't here today. Neil says they took the pedal off the metal in the last few. I disagree. I think they went to their bench in the last few. I don't think they took the pedal off. I prefer Waters, Trammell, Butler, Ledee getting 3.5 minutes of rest there late, and getting BJ Davis, DeMarshe Johnson, Cade Alger, and others some opportunities, by the way, to play in a conference game. But I don't see it really like, took their foot off the pedal. I see it like, hey, Air Force made a couple plays. San Diego State went to its bench, and Air Force closed the last 3 minutes better than San Diego State. That's fair, but I don't think it's because they took their foot off the pedal, so to speak. Adam says, curious as to why Pal is having elevation problems and didn't travel with the team. Is it a disciplinary thing? Does he get sick at elevation? Just curious as to if he's okay or what is up. No, I don't think it has anything to do with discipline, and I don't know if he's having an elevation thing or not. But I know he did travel separately for whatever reason. They coined it as travel issues, so I don't think it has anything to do with discipline. And what happened with Colorado State, Dutch talked about on his radio show last week, right here on San Diego Sports 760. He said, he had a short leash, and with the benefit of hindsight, he probably should have played him more, or if at all, I guess, in the second half against Colorado State. So I don't know if it has anything to do with elevation or if it's just being on the road. Like today, Pal played 20 plus minutes off the bench, didn't he? Yeah, he played over 20 minutes. He had 5 rebounds. I thought he had some impactful moments on the glass, couple of assists. Only had 2 field goal attempts, was 0 of 2. I don't know if it has to do with elevation or not. He did not. He did not, Tom. I don't have the particulars, but he did not. Yeah, I mean, it is a big story. What happened today around the league is significant. All these games are significant. I mean, Utah State all of a sudden is in a precarious spot, like teams can get occasionally in this league. I think Nevada was there about a month ago with the home loss to like Boise State, and they're trying to dig out of it. Now Utah State has lost back-to-back games, and nobody can afford 3 or 4 consecutive losses in the Mountain West Conference. And Utah State right now is looking at consecutive losses, and no one has a resume that is so safe that they are a tournament lock. I think the best resume right now is San Diego State's. Metrically, New Mexico's is comparable, and of course, they have a victory over the Aztecs. But I do think San Diego State has the best metrics and the best resume in the league, and that's not just saying it through rose-colored or Aztec-colored glasses. They truly do at 18-5 with their schedule, with their strength. I think they have a 4 seed, 5 seed resume. I saw like Mike DeCourcy today. They put it up on FS1, and he had a 7 seed for San Diego State. That's insanity based on where they are right now. There's no world where they're lower than a 6 seed right now, and they, I think, are securely on the 5 seed line with a chance to be a 4 seed. But again, that doesn't lock them in, I would say, on February 6th to the NCAA tournament. I think it puts them in a good position, but I don't think it locks them in because all of a sudden you suffer, 2, 3 consecutive losses and your resume doesn't look near as good. But I do think as we sit here tonight speaking, I think San Diego State has the best resume in the league. I'm going to get back to the chat in a moment. I do want to remind our viewers here live or on replay about our title sponsor here on the wrap-up show, Higher Impact Financial. My buddy Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. If you're looking for a financial planner, I've been working with Eric. I set up the free 15-minute consultation. I ended up speaking to Eric, I think, initially for 15 minutes, another time for about an hour or so. If you got any financial needs, if you've got any questions about your future, about your retirement, about your taxes, get in contact with Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. Click the link in the description down below. He's a San Diegan, an Aztec fan, and supports this channel. So if you're looking to get your house in order with your financials, if you're looking to, again, plan for your retirement, if you've got questions about your financial future, right? Because I do, he makes it simple and easy. You can take that from me. So he supports our work here on the wrap-up show. He's based in Southern California. If you've got any needs, set up a free 15-minute consultation with Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. Click the link in the description down below. Let him know I sent you there. He'll talk to you about the Aztecs. He'll talk to you about your financial goals as well. Get in contact with my buddy Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. All right, let's get back to some comments here for the next 10 or 15 minutes. Again, if you're here live or on replay, please do subscribe. We have year-round content for Aztec basketball and football fans. Max says nobody's crying about the 13-point win, but denying that winning by 20 plus wouldn't have been beneficial to the net is just flat out not true. But yes, happy about the win. Am I denying it? I don't think I'm denying it. I just told you that winning by 20 would be preferred to winning by 13, but winning by 30 would be preferred to winning by 20. Max, the impact on the net tonight, or on KenPom, because I haven't seen the net, the impact on the net of San Diego State winning by 13 or 20 would be likely 0 spots. At most 1, likely 0. Like I'm looking at KenPom right now, and the difference between 20 and 19 metrically is not 6 points. It's more than that right now. Actually, it's San Diego State, New Mexico. I mean, we're parsing through data at that point. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, maybe San Diego State should have only beaten Utah State at home on Saturday by 9, but they won by 14, right? Doesn't it kind of all even out? So Air Force hit a 3 at the buzzer. Okay, I mean, what are we really going to do about it? I mean, I'm not losing sleep over it. Every single possession is beneficial or not to your benefit all season long, every single one of them. So, I mean, you just add it all up, and this is where you get. So, I think a 13-point road win when KenPom has it as a 12-point difference, and when the line is 9.5 is more than good enough. That's how I see it. And then he follows up. Health and winning, of course, is the priority. I mean, that's obvious. But yeah, so I mean, that's why I would trade it every single day of the week. I mean, Yeah, you could have won this game by 20. Max, what people would be saying if Lamont Butler with 44 seconds left in the game went to the basket and twisted his ankle. People say, why on earth is Lamont Butler in the game with 44 seconds left? So that's why I'll take the 13-point win with an Air Force 8-0 run to close over Reese Waters still being in the game, because that's just basketball and you have to live with it. You can't keep your foot on the gas for 40 minutes in all games, because it's more than I talk about analytics and metrics more than anyone. But at the end of the day, it's a basketball team playing a long season with travel. And I'm more concerned about them being rested Friday than them winning by 18 points tonight against Air Force. And we can agree to disagree. I completely respect your opinion on it. I'm just telling you mine. Neil says Dutch has too much respect to keep the starters in and run up the score. I think it goes beyond that. I think ultimately, of course, they have the respect of course, they respect the Air Force Academy. Of course, they respect their opponents, especially in the league. But I think it even goes, it's not about running up the score. It's about doing what's best for your team, right? Not doing what's best for your net. What's best for your team is what's best for your net. And what's best for your team is what you should be doing, from a game in and game out basis. And the net will take care of itself based on you doing what's right in the time and score and circumstance for your team, if that makes sense. Gustavo, what's going on? He says, great team win. Let's get ready for Nevada. Go Aztecs from Tijuana. And I don't even think we'd be talking about it if the kid didn't hit a three literally at the buzzer. And then the margin would have been 16. And it would have been like, like kissing your sister. Like it would have been like meeting in the middle. So they won by 16. I mean, kid hit a three at the buzzer. Just whatever, what can you do about it? Gustavo says Saunders has been better coming off the bench, playing aggressively and with more confidence. Yeah, he's looked really good. He has. He's really picked his spots, and he's been really contributing. I thought he did some damage inside tonight as well, which was encouraging. Hit another three. He's hit some threes here over the last 3 or 4 games. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Saunders has filled the role really nicely in his first 2 games this year off the bench. Gustavo says, great team win. Let's get ready for Nevada. Go Aztecs from Tijuana. Max says the committee is not going to care that they wanted elevation to Air Force. LOL. I love you, John, but they won't care. Oh, hold on, Max. You are misconstruing my words. What they are going to care about is when they look at the team sheet. Here's what matters. Okay. Are you capable of winning on the road? There is no resume of a team that only has 1 or 2 road wins that gets into the NCAA tournament. You want to pile up road wins. It doesn't matter if they're against UCSD and San Jose State and Air Force. They're road wins. So it's on your resume. And I love you too, Max. I'm not saying this is their marquee win. I'm just saying check the box and move on. You beat Air Force by 13 on the road. That's important. It's a road win. It's a conference win. It doesn't hurt your metrics. Arguably, it helps your metrics, right? So yeah, and the committee is not going to take time to whoa, let's stop. They got a road win at Air Force. They could have won the game by 39 tonight, and they're not going to do that. So we both agree in that regard. But what they do care about is how many road wins you have, because it does matter. If you're competing with a team on a seed line and one team is 2-7 on the road and you're 5-6 on the road, I think actually that is impactful. So road wins have value, and you could argue that road wins don't have more value than home wins, but it's a separator because there's a lot of good teams in the country. Like if you look at the net right now, there's a lot of teams that don't have great road records because it's hard to win on the road, regardless of who you're playing. Braden, stop. Just stop. I'm with you, Tom. Isn't acceptable, Braden? Come on, guys. Come on. Take a deep breath. Come on. Let's do it together. Relax. Isn't acceptable? They outscored 8-0 with their bench in the game in the final minute. It's fine. Relax. Let's see here. Okay, can we say good road win, great, and Air Force don't go in the same sentence? Fine. We can move on. I'm with you. We can say that, Max. I agree. I agree, Tom. Reese is healthy. And by the way, there's another bye coming in the schedule. Now they got a lot of 2-day turnaround with travel here Friday. And then they get the extra day to get ready for Colorado State Tuesday, which is good because they're playing Friday and they don't play again until Tuesday. But then the quick turnaround Friday for New Mexico. Then again, the extra day into the next week. But they get to the end of February and they get the bye before their final week of the regular season. Then not that they get a bye, but I think senior night is a Friday. And should they secure a spot in the quarterfinals, they don't play again until the following Thursday. So there's still some situations where you can get this team healthier and rested and work on yourself in the weeks ahead. I think that is something to consider. All right, let's see. Let's see here. All right, Braden follows up by saying, let me read this. The starters playing 25 minutes needs to add a few minutes to that for being at elevation. Still thought they could have played less. I don't get it. Do you want them to play more minutes or less minutes here today? Because all of a sudden, if they would have played less minutes, I'd be hearing from more people. Hold on. Now they only won by 9 because the starters didn't. So, I think the starters played an appropriate number of minutes between 25 and 30. That's very reasonable. I think 35 to 40 wouldn't have been reasonable considering, the score, um, elevation, all those factors. Let's see here. Yeah, not that it's spoiled. I mean, I understand the point. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sitting there watching on TV too, crossing my fingers and hoping they can finish it off up 18 or 19. Dutchers, Brian Dutcher's doing the same thing. He would have preferred to win by 18, 19, 20. We all agree. I'd prefer if the Aztecs won every game they played. So would Brian Dutcher. So would everyone here. But life doesn't work like that. The other team gets the ball for half the possessions too, is my point. So sometimes you just have to accept it. It is what it is. Over the course of 30 something games, this will happen. Just like over the course of 30 something games, you might stretch out a lead on someone else late. A game that you should win by 6, you end up winning by 16. You get my point. What? Okay, this is about the last comment I'm pulling up from Braden. The first 6 minutes defensively, even with the normal rotation, gave up 14 points, I believe. Air Force was better, but that's not like us. First 6 minutes of the second half, maybe you're talking about? If you're talking about the second half, okay, yeah, they were better. Air Force is better in the second half. They were much better in the second half. Um, okay. Michael, what's going on, man? He says, "Hey, John, what's up, buddy? Aztecs did it. Had a very convincing road win. Exactly what they needed. Awesome for their confidence. 5 stars, Michael. Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, I think they would have signed up for it, right? Wouldn't you guys? Wouldn't you just fast forward if someone told you heading into this game? I mean, I like the games. I don't just want to see the final score, but if someone told you, "Hey, Aztecs win 77-64 tonight," cool. Who says no? Right? As a 9.5 point favorite, as a 12 point favorite in Ken Palm, you win by 13. Who says no? I think everyone's taking it. Bill says in the past 2 weeks, the Aztecs have been doing the little things better that help win close games, getting more quality shots, moving the ball better to create spacing. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. By the way, I consume so much Aztec content, and I've mentioned this before in the wrap up show here recently. Unequivocally now, the Aztec resume today is better than 1 year ago today. I always preface that by saying it doesn't mean they're going to have the same success down the stretch or going around in the NCAA tournament. But last year, where San Diego State was hovering in the mid to high 20s, even in the 30s analytically, right at this time of year, they're more like hovering in the upper teens to 20. So I would say, I don't have all the data in front of me, but they're between 5 to 7 spots better on average across all of the metrics, Ken Palm, net, predictive metrics, BPI. There's all these things, right, that you'd be looking at. And San Diego State metrically is in a better situation today than they were a year ago today, which to me is kind of amazing considering the expectations, considering the losses that they suffered on this team due to graduation or transfer, like a Keyshawn Johnson. And they're better off today than they were a year ago today. Again, doesn't mean they'll be a 5 seed. We don't know what's going to happen the next month. Doesn't mean they're going to win 5 NCAA tournament games. We know how hard it is. But I'm just telling you, they have done their part to this point, including here tonight, in my opinion. FA says, thanks for staying up, John. Great show. Thank you, FA. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate you hanging out. Really do. I don't know, Neil. I mean, it's worked well. I thought Powell would start today, but he wasn't with the team and traveled commercially. And all of a sudden, you've seen 3 starting lineups in 3 games. I think the versatility is probably a good thing. I don't know what it's going to look like Friday. Does J Powell start? Does Micah Parrish start? But again, they've played well the last couple of days, so I would think that they would probably stick with what they've been doing the last couple of games. Would be my guess. Bill started it by saying, Moving the ball better to create spacing for attacking the rim. Great first half tonight. Yeah, the first half was great, and the second half wasn't as good. And I think there's a natural like inclination to, I mean, are you going to outscore someone by 50 points and shoot 70% from the floor in both halves? Like that's not easy to do. Yeah, they obviously played better in the first half and the second half. We can all agree on that. And then Max says, it's pretty exciting where we are in the metrics, considering that I felt last year's team was much better, frankly. I don't, Max, it's funny. If you took yourself back, in like a time capsule and put yourself on this date a year ago, there was a lot of critiquing going on of San Diego State. There was, whether it was offensive droughts or not putting it all together, or losing some close games on the road, right? Like, are they going to reach their full potential? And they did. I mean, even as late as a senior night loss on the road to Boise State, where the Aztecs had a late lead that they lost, there was a lot of criticism of San Diego State at that point a year ago. And that was well past this point. That was late February when they lost that game in Boise. So I understand what you're saying, but if we could actually go back and travel back a year, I think there were, I don't know if the criticisms were comparable. They might have been different criticisms, but there was a high level of critiquing going on SDSU throughout the course of last season until they really got going. Maybe a senior night win through the Mountain West tournament. Then you're looking at 4 or 5 consecutive wins late, and they had done enough to get a 5 seed. And then we know the rest is kind of history. But yeah, again, I mean, the metrics don't lie. I think the eye test is valuable as well, and I think they passed both. I think metrically they passed the test, and I think with the eye test they're 18-5, and the losses are quote unquote good losses, and they have good wins. Gonzaga on the road is a really good win. Utah State at home is a really good win. Nevada at home now is looking like a better win. The Pac-12 wins I think are important. St. Mary's win looks better by the day as they've been dominant in the WCC, absolutely dominant. They're playing some of the best basketball right now in the country, in fact, at St. Mary's. Let me get to a couple of more comments, and then we should all go to sleep, shouldn't we? Is anyone here in the East? Anyone watching at 2:22 a.m. or anyone watching the Central at 1:22 a.m. or anyone watching in the Mountain at midnight? Everyone is at least up at 11:22, unless you're in Hawaii or somewhere else. Yeah, he's been good off the bench. He has. He's been good. I mean, he has. I mean, there's been a lot of criticism of Elijah Saunders, and for those that have been so critical of Elijah Saunders, I think we should be, the people that have been critical, I think, should be complimentary of what he's done and how he's accepted this role, and he's kind of excelled in it over the last couple of games. I think Braden, 4 is realistic, depending on how the season wraps up. There's so much basketball, 8 regular season, as many as 3 Mountain West tournament games. That gives you all kinds of like possibilities. I mean, from like running the table possibilities where you're starting to think about even seeding maybe better than a 4. I don't know if that's realistic. I'm not a bracketologist, to not having success down the stretch and tumbling in the seed lines. So all of it is possible. Max says the bench depth was the major difference. I mean, last year's bench was like historically good. You had 5th and 6th year players coming off the bench. You have like all Americans off the bench in Jaden Ledee. This year's bench has really improved. Can we agree on that? With like the pals, and again, DT's been coming off your bench at times. Miles Bird has turned it on. Miles Heide is improving. It's different. I agree with you, Max. That was kind of like the kryptonite for SDSU a year ago. But you had like, man, there were so many factors. The COVID season, you had 6th year player like Adam Seiko, you had 5th year player like Agwuka you had Jaden Ledee coming off your bench. I mean, it was an historically good team and a historically good bench as well. Okay, Max, we got okay. Now, everything you've said here tonight, I'm cool with because it's 2:23 in the morning where you're watching. That's crazy. That's crazy. Bill says, I don't even know what I'm just responding to people that are commenting. So keep the comments going if you want me to stick around. He says Trammell starting is huge. His aggressiveness helps ignite the offense, and then bringing in Bird with size plus his elite vision helps. Aztecs offense more dynamic with Darian and Lamont. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see. GPA here says any knowledge of what the players say when they do a quick huddle after a foul, whatever it is, definitely solidarity. I have no idea, but they certainly, if you watch San Diego State and you know the effort that they play with, I mean, it's about just staying staying attached, so to speak, staying together, especially on the road when things can get trickier. Yeah, don't remind me either. Believe me, I talked about it for like 2 years straight. Thankfully, we made a national championship last year. All right, guys. Join me tomorrow, San Diego Sports 760. We'll be talking more Aztecs basketball, getting you ready for that showdown Friday against Nevada in Reno. That huge game. 5 p.m., by the way, 5 o'clock Pacific, Friday. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. I'll have full reaction for you as well. On the wrap-up show presented by my friend Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. If you are here live or on replay, if you would not mind subscribing, if you wouldn't mind telling Aztec fans about this channel, I really do appreciate it. Got it off the ground about 6 months ago. We have year-round content for Aztec fans, so please do subscribe. If you are here, please smash the like button for me. Follow me on Twitter at John Schaefer. That is JONSCHAEFFER. Make sure to pick up this brand new Catapult U t-shirt that supports the Mesa Foundation Collective by clicking the link in the description down below. All proceeds go to the Mesa Foundation, which benefits San Diego State men's and women's basketball players. Thank you if you're here on replay for the super thanks. Appreciate you guys becoming members as well. And much more to come throughout the course of February and into March as well. Thank you guys. Seriously, thank you for your support of the channel. Thank you for hanging out. It is always fun. It is always fun, especially on these late nights. Aztecs over the Falcons in Colorado Springs, 77-64. Until next time, my name's John Schaefer. You've been watching The Wrap-Up Show. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Be safe.